What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rear Naked Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie Kilstein.
And I'm Drew Weatherhead here for, we got to figure out when we're going to cut this season, because I keep putting season 1, but this is episode 18. So does the season have like 35 episodes?
We're like going to be like those really bad sitcoms. Like, you know how like the UK, like all the hipster people who are like, I watched the UK Office, and it was just like 8 perfect episodes. And then it's like, how you guys doing in America? It's like, we're on episode 583 and Jim has a twin and his twin's trying to steal Pam and Steve Carell died. And you're just like,
wait, Steve Carell died? What episode is that?
Episode 286.
Got to catch up.
America loves our quantity over quality.
True. It's the shotgun approach, right? Just keep shooting shot and one of them will hit.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I will say,
we've been hitting pretty good. I'll tell you that, though.
I know. Well, so I'm going to say this because I know so many people tune in for my thoughts on The Office, a show that is no longer on the air. I was not a hipster, and I am not. I was not a hipster in the sense that I loved the first few seasons of the American Office. And then I just pretended that it ended when Jim and Pam got married. And I was like, bye-bye. And people were like, did you watch season 8? And I was like, no, it does not exist in my brain.
That's like the Big Bang Theory, every episode after 1.
Right. I was like mad at you. I was so fueled with rage when you started that sentence that at no point was I like, Drew's going into a bit because we do comedy together.
That's a success.
Dude, can I tell you, I had this really wonderful moment, which you immediately ruined on Instagram.
Thank God.
I'll explain why. Yeah. Anything earnest, Drew's just like,
that's what I'm here for. Sardonic humor, just to ruin your mood.
Time to piss all over your earnest feelings towards me. I mean, our first serious conversation on DM was I said, I love you. And you were like, cool, man, talk to you later. And then in all caps lock, I said, say it back, which I don't know if that says more about my toxic leanings or yours or my codependent leanings. But anyway, so I interviewed on my podcast this guy named Rob Hubel, who's like one of my favorite improviser comedy actor people of all time. He was in that very violent sketch show called Human Giant. It was him, Paul Scheer, and Aziz, and that was how they kind of all three of them got their start. And he usually plays like the asshole in these movies, but anyway, he's amazing. And we were talking about, you know, fear and anxiety and self-doubt with like performing and shit. And he goes, and he is so self-hating. And for a comic, he's also like a good-looking guy. He's tall. Like him and Rob Riggle used to do stuff together. They were like the big guys.
So wait, are most comics short and ugly? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Do you watch fucking comedy? Or they're like, if they're big, they're like Bert Kreischer. I feel like
there has to be a movement for the tall, sexy comics out there. They're not getting a fair shake. There's something going on there. Hollywood's trying to keep them out.
It's Chris D'Elia.
Yeah, that's it, right?
And end sentence. Yeah. Other than that, it's just a bunch of fucking troll Seinfelds lurking in the back of dark comedy clubs. But he goes, he started an improv, not stand-up. And he was like, what I loved about improv, and he goes, if anyone wants to be creative with music, with whatever, and this ties into jiu-jitsu too, it's like, just find someone that fucking makes you laugh and find someone to do it with. Where you can like push each other, because I've been getting bummed out since I moved out of LA, where like I was doing improv at UCB in New York. I loved it. I love the collaboration. Like I've played in bands, and now that I'm out here, especially quarantined, I'm like, I miss like playing in bands. I'm like, God, I wish maybe I would do improv again. Maybe I should go back to LA. And then I'm like, oh, I have Drew. Like whenever I think of a sketch or whatever, like we just like do bits together. And I'm like, I do have that. And then I got so happy. And I tried to say that to you in like a DM, you and Eli, because of that guard pulling video we posted.
Oh, that thing was magical too. It did so good. Everybody loved that.
Yeah, like some big names started sharing it too. And I was like, man, I wish that I just had people. What I was trying to say is like you guys. And I was like, I wish I just had people. And I tried to like paraphrase the Rob Hubel thing, just like, you know, friends that you love that you can just make funny stuff with. And then you like made some joke. You're like, you'll find them. Or you were like, just cough on them and they'll get corona. And I was like, Drew, I'm talking about you. And it was 100% that, like, say I love you back.
Well, I'll make you feel better before I'll crush your feelings again, because the
Okay.
only reason I have WhatsApp is for Jamie Kilstein telling me that he loves him. Loves
Yeah.
me. That, and like, it's the only reason besides 150 other Pakistani ghee manufacturers.
I don't talk to anyone on WhatsApp but you. Like, it's just that
I just
when
talk to you and them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When I get a notification, I'm like, it's Drew. So how are you guys fucking doing? It is, I feel like, I mean, the fact that this podcast kind of started on the cusp of Corona, it's this very like Good Morning Vietnam feel where I
Dude.
feel like every week we're kind of like from the trenches, like day 45 of quarantine. How are we doing?
I never thought of that. This thing started back in December, which I guess like the coronavirus is supposedly starting to spread in the novel version in China in like the late November. So like we started going viral at the same time. We're like linked.
This is great. You know, we've been trying to think about what do we call our listeners? What should a tagline be? Is it the greatest jiu-jitsu podcast in the world or whatever? Clearly it needs to be Rear Naked Radio, the coronavirus of podcasts. And then you guys can all be, do we call you like little viral outbreaks? Like
our little pathogens. The Rear Naked Radio and the pathogens.
Dude, that's it. I mean, that's the problem. Dude,
here's the thing: is
that sounds like an '80s like band?
It totally does.
And the pathogens,
Joan Jett and the pathogens,
and it's just like a bunch of people dressed as like viruses doing like a line dance in the back.
Amazing.
Oh,
okay,
well, yep,
so
you guys are our little pathogens.
What the coronavirus has over us, and really the only thing that it has over us, because I hear it's horrible and we're not, is they can get their shit spread just by coughing. So we need to get people to like cyber cough our shit onto their friends, and they can pass on as pathogens, as our loyal pathogens.
Loyal pathogens.
We can spread this shit and spread around the world. We're going to go pandemic with this thing across borders, across ethnicities, across religions, across guard pullers and takedown artists and polos and
we're going to give you all Rear Naked Radio. I am so fucking, this is the first day I feel like we've been kind of, and I just came off a panic attack, if you guys are wondering, like literally 5 minutes ago. Drew sent me the Zoom link and I was like, I have to call my dad to hear a calming voice first and then I can do this. But I feel like, you know, people love Drysdale's interview, but I was very self-conscious last week because, and I even said something to you after the show. I was like, man, the intro wasn't like as like high energy as it usually was, or, you know, do you think that was okay? Or was it good? You know, we want people to listen to Drysdale. And actually a lot of people really liked it. And I think because what Drew and I will always try to do, pandemic or not, is we are very authentic to a fault where like I'm not gonna put on a fucking fake. If the world is crumbling, it's very hard to be like, hey, it's Drew and the kid, or like whatever, you know what I mean? Fart noise, womp womp, come. And last week, like that's kind of how we were feeling. And you know, this week it's still out there. I think we're all still feeling it, but at the same time, one of the reasons we do this show is to kind of be there for you guys, be there for our community of pathogens. We're making this happen.
It's happening.
It has happened, period. And so, yeah, last week, like that's how we were feeling. And we will always try to find the good, always, no matter how shitty we're feeling or whatever. Like we have an announcement today that starts off as very bad news. And then will turn into very good news.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we're at. And I think that, I mean, Drew's having we're both having nightmares of days.
It's a bit of a day. Yeah.
It's a bit of a day. But I think honestly, and maybe it's just that we're like talking to each other and it's like calm down. Like I just realized
I mean, the weeks are weird now because all of our schedules are fucked up. None of the regular stuff we're used to is happening. And we're trying to figure out, you know, everybody's trying to rally to figure out what to do while we're locked down, while we don't really have the same options. And this just getting together and podcasting is one of the things I look forward to the most.
Oh, thanks, bud. Yeah, I got nervous. I was like, because I knew you were stressed out too, and that was before my thing happened. And I was like, "Do you want to like do the show another day?" And you were like, "No,
I need this."
And you were like out of breath. And I was like, "All right, man, whatever you want to do." Do you think because the days are bleeding into each other? This is a pretty important question. Do you think because the days are bleeding into each other, do you think that works in Garfield's favor? Or not? And what I mean by that is
there's never a Monday.
Is there never a Monday, or
is it always
Mondays?
Monday? I don't know. I feel like
is Jim Davis alive? Can we email him or hit him up on Twitter?
Yeah, there's none of the regular days really apply because they all kind of have their own flavor, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think it's always Blurns Day right now. Like it doesn't make sense.
It's always Corona Day.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys are hanging in there. I mean, I can give my Corona quarantine advice. Like I've been talking a bunch about mental health on my podcast, but the thing that really applies to us, Drew, did we talk about this last week? About how for me, like exercise wise, running is what saved me. We did talk about this because we were like, everyone's just doing the warm-ups they avoided. You brought that up.
Yeah.
But even like push-ups and shit, I'm like, this is fucking dumb. But for me, running, which I've always hated, I think right now the key with mental health is like figure out the things you can do and just check off as many boxes as possible. So we're not going to have schedules. Finances are scary, whatever, but have a list of shit that makes you feel good or healthy or productive. And by the way, if that means you think you're going to lose your job, start writing that list of like what shit I've always wanted to do. What's ideas? How are other ways I can make money? What's, and
Man,
so on.
Losing my career was how I got to become a full-time jiu-jitsu instructor. Like that was kind of forced on me.
What the fuck? Oh, that's right. You were a fucking welder.
Yeah. For 15 years I was welding and I always wanted to get out of it. But I was in this place where I had a family of 6 that I'm supporting on a really good paycheck. I was as high as I could get in my industry for where I was. And there was just no lateral move to get out of it. Any move out of there, I'm going down quite a few pegs on the income ladder. Right. And like, I got to feed the kids. I got to pay the mortgage, got to pay the cars. And now I want to try to add a gym to that. Like that's another $10,000 I got to throw on there. Give me a break.
Right. I never even thought about, you can't really retire and become like a tenured welding professor. Where do you can't write your memoir on welding. My journey to the top.
Is I ended up getting laid off, right, when things were going bad for the oil field. And this is something that's common in the trades, but it was like the 5th time that it's happened to me in that 15 years. Yeah. And finally I decided like, I'm not going to chase this trade anymore because I can't rely on it. I'm going to take the hit. I'm going to do what I love. And 2 years later, I'm here in my own gym podcasting with a hilarious comedian who types me stuff on WhatsApp in all caps.
I love you so
much. Guys, what I'm trying to say is stuff is weird right now, but it's temporary. So don't focus on the things that are going to fuck up your day. Focus on the things that are going to help your life. Because 1 year from now, the stuff that's fucking up today, you won't even remember it. It doesn't really matter in the long run. It's very granular. Don't look at the granular. Look at the big picture. And like Jamie's saying, write down the things that you can make a difference for in the next 2 years.
Yeah. Fuck, Drew, that was so motivating. You just turned our little pathogens into full-blown viruses. I think everyone kind of matured.
I had a scary idea. Like you said, that the only way to get away from this for your head's sake is to go running. Yeah. What if everybody started running because it was the only way to get their head straight in their isolation, and the pathogen mutated to
don't
become
take
transmitted
running away from me
through the soles of sneakers, through AirPods?
I got to say, every time I run and I see people, I have to run in another direction. So I'll run across fields. So my my relaxing jog turns into me literally running away from strangers. It just looks like I have really bad anxiety. Where I'll be running, I'll see people and I'll go nope, and suddenly I'm in the middle of the road and or on some
hilarious
off trail.
There's those Nike shoes that have a Wi-Fi chip in them that hooks up to your phone so you can see.
No, I don't do that, Drew, because I'm a fucking comedian. I wasn't on a welder's salary
okay, Mr. AirPods.
Drew was.
So you can get these shoes. I'm sure other people make them, but anyways, they tie into your whatever feet per second that you're running, your steps and all that stuff.
Sure,
And
sure.
you can look, like I see people posting this shit on Instagram because it's a low key flex, right? To put up the map after their run and it shows the red line that they ran all over the map.
Yeah.
Yours would be like Pac-Man, be like, "Mau, mau, mau, nope, mau, mau, mau,
Yep.
nope,
It would be like,
nope."
yeah, if you looked at it, it would be like, that's where Jamie saw a person, and it's just me like veering into a tree.
You could track where the population is by where you're not.
Yeah. Did he end up on a roof somewhere? It's like, maybe.
He's in the ocean. He found his way into the ocean.
He is swimming. He's swimming in the other direction. Clearly some kind of wildlife that startled him came up. Yeah, dude, I really am glad you say that, because what I was going to say was like far more low key than that, where I was going to be like, I have my list of like, meditation, workout, blah, blah, blah. And what I love about running is it checks off 3. I can like listen to a podcast. So I'm putting something positive in my ears. I'm getting sunshine. I'm getting outside and I'm getting my exercise in. So it's like, boom, 3 things I can knock out in like 45 minutes or whatever. But yours, I mean, it is low key what I have been telling people, where it's like, I mean, you essentially, your old career, you described being in a situation where you're like, God, I'm miserable in this relationship. This relationship doesn't make me happy. I'm nervous. I don't want to quit, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly they break up with you and you go, what?
Yeah.
Like you're kind of free. And like so many people will settle for mediocrity when in reality they're fucking great. And I know things are really hard right now, and I don't want to sound like I'm like this like privileged asshole who's like, oh, you got fired, go live your dreams, man. But it's like, at the same time, at the very least, if you can switch your mentality to that, I'm not saying it's gonna be fucking easy, but if
you don't want it to be easy, and this is something that and I know, and anybody who's had hardships knows, is when you are under the gun is when you do your best work, because you have to.
But
so
you have
it's a
to make
blessing
that choice
in disguise. You have
to make the choice. There is a moment. There have been moments at my rock bottoms. I mean, right before this podcast started, when like my little cat died and my girlfriend left and I lost my car, like all in the same week, where it's like, all right, well, that can be my fucking story and that could be my fucking narrative. And then I guess I kill myself, or I use this as like, this is the fucking story. Like we even talked about that with Corona, where it's like, so spoiler alert, because we're not just talking out of our ass. This literally just happened to us, where we lost one of our sponsors, and we'll go into that in a bit. And that's a lot of our income, especially when Drew's with Drew's school. And so big fucking hit. And there's this moment where you go, all right, well, I guess I could be defeatist and then we'll lose our other sponsor, or like maybe we like do the show less, or maybe we whatever, or we go into panic mode and it's like, well, what are the emergency plans? Or you get to go, we're going to be the fucking podcast that says 2 years from now, hey, do you remember when there was a fucking pandemic and people didn't know what to do, and then we lost half of the show's income, and that's when we got the fucking biggest? And that has to be the way you think. Everybody has ideas they've been sitting on. Well, motherfucker, now's the time to bust those out. I'm not saying now's the time to like start in a fucking band or teach yourself guitar and be like, I'm gonna quit my accounting job or whatever. But what Drew and I did was we tried our damnedest to make it to save it. It didn't happen because, again, through no fault of their own, they're going through what everyone's going through, and they have fucking stores and rent to pay with no sales to make. And we tried to figure out ways to make it work. And long story short, like after that happened, I don't know if we had one panicked conversation. I legitimately think we both were like, let's make this show even fucking bigger.
Yeah, the fire really got stoked at that point. So
I mean, I was texting with Jake Shields about getting the Diaz brothers on the show. Like just things
you were going for the stars.
Dude, things that seemed crazy. And then at the same time, like Lord Krishna bestowed her upon us. Helen Harper, who you guys might know on Instagram, she was on The Ultimate Fighter on Joanna's team. She started listening to us because Drysdale was the coach on Ultimate Fighter. And she was like, you guys have the fucking best podcast in the world. Why doesn't everyone know it? And I was like, I don't know. She was like, all right, well, I'm gonna fucking help. And so now we have an Instagram, which you guys should all follow now, at Rear Naked Radio. So we have a place for people to we have a third member of the team, essentially.
Yeah, she's going to be helping with that. We're going to be posting on there. She's going to be posting on there, updating all of our pathogens about upcoming guests, about, we're going to get, like anytime we've got previous guests that are doing great things, we're going to pump them up in there. And, we're going to get some interaction with the community, but also the community of guests that we've had. We're all going to be one big happy disease.
And that's what we want. We've had nowhere to really send people. We're like, just find it. And you guys, most importantly, have had nowhere to really send your friends. Like, look it up, and then people get fucking lazy. I want to say this too about Helen, where we would not have. Drew and I are very particular, and we work very, very well together. She is a badass fighter. She loves jiu-jitsu so much, and she's fucking foul-mouthed, hilarious. She's lady, like she's someone that if like I was sick, I would be like, co-host the show. So it's not like we don't want to have a fucking bot running our Instagram or someone who's like pretending to be us. She's a third member of the community as long as she wants to do it. The Instagram page, we're making sure that it's not just repeat content like Drew was saying. So even if you follow me and Drew, it's going to be a dope jiu-jitsu page.
Yeah.
Even if the podcast didn't exist.
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be fun. So check it out. Rear Naked Radio on Instagram. We had one more idea before we get to our guest, which we haven't even announced yet for this episode. We've got Claudia Duval on here, who is one of the best female competitors in the world right now. I think she's ranked #1 for Nogi and IBJJF. She's every picture you see her is with gold or double gold from every tournament she goes to. She's under De La Riva team, trains with Master De La Riva himself down in Brazil. She's down in Brazil for this episode, so we're happy to get her.
Cool. That's fucking awesome, man. Yeah, the second idea, I actually have a second guest who may be calling in after the interview. So there may be two. It may be special. We're not positive, but I'm so excited to talk to her. The idea is this. So Drew and I are so at first we started talking about, okay, we need another sponsor. Financially, we don't ask you guys for anything in the sense that like we don't have a Patreon, we don't have a donate button. We would like this show to be always free, and then we have sponsors that we believe in.
That's right.
And so, which by the way, if you didn't see Drew post on Instagram, and we'll do our usual ad, but like fucking Origin making masks right now.
Yeah, they're really stepping up, man.
They are so,
you can't say enough about those guys.
They're such a fucking special company, and I'm so like, we're so lucky to have them. So anyway, so we were thinking, and the thing is, it's like, we're not going to ask fucking schools right now or a lot of jiu-jitsu places, because they're all trying to keep their fucking doors open.
Yeah.
So we're talking go.
So here's basically a short form of the pitch is that, look, everybody's gym right now is shut because it has to be. A lot of gyms, that is a death sentence right now. It's hard because nobody knows when it's going to end. So we're kind of in the middle of this turmoil, wondering like, when can we get our bills paid again? When can we? Part of the problem is that nobody can come in and try jiu-jitsu for, new students coming in. Nobody can continue to grow and market. Marketing is the hardest thing when you've got no product to market.
Exactly. And so we were like, we want to help these gyms. We also need to keep going as a podcast. And we were like, well, we don't want to ask gym owners because they're struggling financially. But at the same time, we want to promote these gyms and we need a new sponsor. And then we were like, who does have money that's not a gym owner? And that is when the three of us realized white belts and blue belts. And look, we're all struggling. We all miss jiu-jitsu. But let's be real. A lot of people that can afford jiu-jitsu are good. A lot of people aren't. Young athletes, blah, blah, blah. But there are a lot of people who are well off. So what we decided to do was give you guys an opportunity to help save your gym. And we are going to offer you can buy your school, present it to your coach, to your team. You can chip in with other team members. Not just an ad, but an episode.
That's
so
right.
Drew and I, we're not just talking shit. We're gonna do, guys. I host
episodes.
I host a podcast fucking 4 days a week. On top of this, 5 days a week. I'm gonna be doing 6 days a week. We're gonna do another podcast, which will do Q&A stuff. It'll still be, but then whoever's gym was sponsored, we're going to highlight and feature and interview either the person who sponsors it or the gym owner, and talk about the school. So we're going to have a gym of the week, and we're not going to do it for the price that we charged these companies. We're going to cut that in half. It'll be a one-time thing because of everything that's going on. So we kind of thought that was a way that like we get to keep the lights on if this takes off. But most importantly, I think we've all, especially when we're in our jiu-jitsu infancy, have these moments where we want to give something back to the coach. We want to give something back to the gym. This is the opportunity. Being able to present and be like, hey, I bought you an episode of Rear Naked Radio could be a really fucking cool thing and a way to bring your gym together and a way to bring the school together. And you guys can fucking tell us funny stories about the gym, or when you showed up and got the shit kicked out of you, or didn't know you weren't supposed to wear fucking like a basketball jersey. Like whatever the fuck you want, we get to make the episode, and then Drew and I get to improvise and make the whole episode around that, which I think will be really fucking cool.
Yeah, and we're going to be, obviously, all of our listeners that already listen, the thousands of people that listen every week, are going to hear about your gym. If they're nearby, maybe they're going to check it out. And this is how we're going to spread the love of jiu-jitsu specifically to your gym in a time when nobody can go there right now. We'll get them like excited to go once it's time to come back.
So,
and yeah, it's going to be good for everybody.
All you little pathogens will get to spread the word about the podcast and spread the word about the show. If you are interested in this, write into rearnakedradio@gmail.com. Put sponsorship.
Rear Naked Radio Podcast.
Oh, Rear Naked Radio Podcast, or DM not us, DM the Instagram account at Rear Naked Radio. That will be checked much more. Drew and I get like pounded with DMs. So if you want to get seen from now on, follow, and you can DM Rear Naked Radio on Instagram.
Alrighty, well, let's get to Claudia.
Hell yeah. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Sorry, I don't have my computer on me, so I'm using my phone. I know it's not the best.
No, I've said this to other guests before. We literally had Eddie Bravo do the interview while holding his cell phone and driving a car around his kids' school's baseball team. So trust me, you look very professional by comparison.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, how's it going, Claudia? I know you're down in Brazil right now. We got you in the evening. Are you in Rio often, or you just happened to be there when the pandemic quarantine hit?
Well, I was planning to be here anyway, and then the pandemic happened, so I guess I'm stuck here for a while until this is all over.
Well, that's not the end of the world. I mean, it's kind of stuck in a tropical country's beautiful biggest city, so.
Well, yeah, but I guess most people are inside their homes, so it doesn't really matter how it looks on the outside. I mean,
true.
That is a very good point. I technically live by mountains, but right now the mountains look like my shitty apartment.
Yeah, well, I live close to the beach. I never go anyway. I don't really like the beach, but even if I wanted now, I just heard it's forbidden to go on the sand.
Wait, can we dive into that really quick about why you don't like the beach?
Well, especially here in Rio, the beaches, they are so crowded. It's very dangerous. I mean, not dangerous as in somebody's gonna approach you with a gun, but it's like you gotta be watching your things at all times because people just come by and take it. So you can never just like, lay down and relax. You always gotta be like looking and watching.
So most beaches you go to relax, but this one you go to pick fights or like defend yourself. Is that where you go to train?
Oh, no. No, luckily I never been to a Rio street fight.
Yeah, I love the idea of you just wanting to pick a fight and like leaving your purse out and just pretending you don't see it and just waiting for someone to jump on it.
Yeah, like bait for a fish.
I have a very important question about Omoplatas. This is a hard segue. A lot of people get shit for Omoplatas, or I've heard people say they don't work, or much like, you know, when you like date somebody who clearly isn't the one, but they're the one. Like, I'm always the person someone dates before they find the person they're going to marry. I feel like that's the omoplata to the triangle choke,
Yeah.
where people will just use the omoplata, me, to get to the triangle choke, husband. But you've really, like, you've made it work for you. Was that always
No,
like a...
Omoplata is definitely my husband.
Oh, you finally, you took the outcast and you turned him into a man.
Yeah, I used to be, more into triangles. I mean, I still like them, but I just happened to bump into omoplatas, and they work a lot more. It's like I already knew the omoplata. It was just a guy standing there. I knew,
Mm-hmm.
but and I was dating triangle.
Yeah.
And things were cool and all. Sometimes we would, get into some arguments, but the omoplata was just a guy. It was right there. I had seen them, but not really, when you see somebody, but you don't really see them.
You
then
don't see them. Yes.
Yeah, so then I started, getting to see the omoplata, and the omoplata was always there for me. Triangle a lot of times, left me there when I needed him most, and
Yeah,
omoplata was always
totally.
Yeah,
The
bit of a
triangle.
user.
Yeah, the triangle chokes, like, they'll stay out late. Everybody uses them. Like,
That's
everybody has
right.
a story about being with the triangle
yeah.
choke. But the omoplata, like, that's like the best friend that you fall in love with. That's like the pretty woman story. Someone who has been ignored for so long or treated like trash, and they just need to find the right person.
Yeah, I just had to, find myself, into the omoplata, because I knew what it was.
Everyone does.
I didn't start using it until I was like a brown belt or a black belt. Even at the black belt, I still didn't know the omoplata well enough. But then, like, it's just something that happened, and I started using it, and then I started like always going for it. They started working for me, and then it got to a point where people was like, "There's Claudia and the omoplata again." I was like, "Oh, there's me and the omoplata again. I guess
Right.
we are a thing." So I guess the omoplata is a thing.
Yeah.
And then I always find the omoplata like into my game. Like, I look for it, I find it, where some people, they say, "Oh, you take the omoplata out of nowhere." Like, I just see it. So
Do you think that, first of all,
omoplata.
God bless you for going with my dumb relationship metaphor. That was really you having my back on like a deep level, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's the only relationship advice you get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fair.
Sorry, Jamie.
But then, do you think? Because it's interesting, because I'm like that. My whole game accidentally developed around a guillotine, and even though you think that, like, you want to tell people when you're coaching to be well-rounded, you should be well-rounded, but a lot of times you'll hear that almost going for one specific move all the time isn't the best idea. But have you noticed that it kind of, when you're so confident in one move, it kind of opens up everything else so much more? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the thing is, like, I try and go for like everything. Like you said, I think it's good to be well-rounded. You got to be prepared for everything. So, like, I see the omoplatas a lot. Like, even sometimes when I'm training, I'm like, I'm gonna try not to do so many
I know, me
omoplatas.
too.
It's so easy to, like, I see them, and then I go for them. But I try and know a little bit of everything. Like, even some things that I used to do a lot before the omoplata, I stopped doing them. So sometimes I try and go back and like doing all those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's It's weird because most people usually use it as, like Jamie was saying, just like a means to an end to a different submission, or most people will be like, oh, she's going to use this for a sweep, and then all of a sudden they're a little surprised that you're trying to actually wrench their arm. So I wonder if you catch a lot of people that don't know it's your A game being like, oh, she's actually going for this. Son of a bitch, this is hurting.
No, actually, the thing is, my omoplatas, most of the time, I don't finish straight there. I sweep the person, but I keep control of their body. And then when I reach the top, I finish from there.
Sick.
So a lot of people, they roll over and they're like, yes, I escaped. And I'm like, no.
It's the bait and switch and switch.
Use it for a sweep, but I keep them in control, and then I finish from the top. Like I posted a few videos on my Instagram, YouTube, everything, you know, showing this move where I sweep the person with the omoplata and then finish from there.
That's incredible. I wanted to ask you, as I assume when you started jiu-jitsu, you weren't the biggest person in the gym. And did you notice, you know, I feel like a lot of people listening to this show, you know, so I started at Marcelo Garcia's. I've told this story before, but like the short version is I didn't tap anybody till I got my blue belt, like literally. And that was very humbling. And I think a lot of people, especially when they're smaller, they show up and they get the shit kicked out of them for so long. It's kind of like, why am I paying money to be here? This is very hard. But can you talk about some of either the struggles you had starting or some of the advantages that you can now look back on to having not been the biggest person and having used technique and all that stuff?
So the thing is, like, I did a little bit of judo before going to jiu-jitsu. So I did 3 years of judo, which is not a very long time. It's just a little bit. So when I first started jiu-jitsu, I wasn't, you know, like completely unexperienced. Like I knew a little bit. Because even if you're a judo black belt, but only judo, if you go into jiu-jitsu, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
But I knew a little bit, and I knew that was not enough, but I knew, you know, I had a good base. I knew how to defend myself a little bit. So
you weren't as helpless as me, is what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Great. Well, perfect.
Not as helpless, but I mean, obviously, you know, I knew a little bit, but it was still like, to this day, it's frustrating because being a woman, obviously men are stronger. There's no arguments about that.
All right, well, so we can end the interview right there. That was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm just going to flex the whole time.
Yeah, just doing the interview like this. So, so even to this day, a lot of times when I'm training with guys, I mean, obviously I know technique is involved, but a lot of times I can't do stuff, and I don't know, is it because of the strength difference, or is it because I couldn't really do it? So to this day, I still get very frustrated lots of times.
How do you tell, are there ways to tell? Because that even happens because I'm still smaller than a lot of guys that I train with, and you go with some like, you know, 200-pound blue belt, and I'm like, technique should be working, and, you know, I have to slow everything down a little bit or just try to be faster or whatever. How do you, is there a way that you can kind of tell? Or like, because for me, I feel like the technique gets better because it has to get better. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, what do you do with that when you are going with someone bigger? Do you try to go harder and kind of match them, or do you try to be faster because they're stronger, or do you try to, because sometimes you try to play technical with a really big person and it doesn't work, and you're like, I need something else besides that?
Yeah, so recently I talked about this on the Flow Grappling podcast. I have a very serious injury on my shoulder. It's been 4 years now, and I'll probably have it forever. The thing is, before I had the injury, I would just train with everybody, and that's exactly how I got hurt.
Right.
So now I don't train, you know, if it's just somebody, you know, just smashing me, like just going super hard, I don't train anymore. Like sometimes there's those people, you can see it in their eyes, you know, like
yes.
guys, you know, they just look at you like, yeah, I'm girl. I'm gonna kick her ass.
Mm.
There's some
They're
people you
flexing.
can see it in their eyes, and when they approach me for training, I just like, I'm sorry, but I'm injured, so I prefer not to. But sometimes you don't know, and you start training with the person, and you see like it's a very, dangerous training, and then I just stop midway. It's like, I'm sorry, it's not your fault. I'm very injured, and you don't understand the fully extent of my injury, because how could you? So I just prefer not to train.
Right.
So a lot of times, like I don't train with people because of my injury. But some people I do train. I guess like I don't like using a lot of strength, so I always try and I always try and have a good training. I think like if you're training with somebody either smaller or less experienced, then you should give them a good training. Like I think if you're tapping somebody 5 times in 3 minutes, that's not a good row unless you have a very good reason to do so. Somebody you and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, you're good.
Motherfucker took my purse at the beach.
But I like you should, try and give, the person a good training, and they also should be giving you a good training. So if also I'm training with somebody and they're just smashing me, I just openly say, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't want to train anymore. I mean, I know it's not like the best way. A lot of people say it's like the Nutella generation, but even if I wasn't injured, I always tell people that they should, be careful how they train, because you could have an injury for life and then never recover. So why would you do that?
That's a really important thing that I don't think gets covered as often, is safe training, and being able to trust your training partners. I hear this actually more from the women that train than guys, and it's probably for the same reasons that you're saying, is that it's just more common to get crushed by some brute who's got like a flexing problem. But even you hear like Carlino, he's talked about, training for longevity. And I had Kyotera up here doing a seminar a while back, and it was funny because afterwards I asked him if he wanted to roll, and there's a few of us that he was saying, yeah, we could roll. And the biggest guy of like the 3 or 4 of us, like, hey, Kyle, you want to start? And he's like, no, I don't want to start with you. I want you last.
Oh,
like,
Jesus.
He's like, I want to get warmed up. There's no way I'm starting with someone who's 230 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, like I know a lot of people that they just train with everybody, but those are like the biggest people. Like I heard that, like Rodolfo in his seminars. Oh, sorry. Oh my God, I dropped you guys.
Okay.
I heard that like Rodolfo in his seminars, he just trains with everybody, but he's a beast. I mean, like
Oh,
he was
yeah.
even Gordon Ryan too. Like I read once in his post that he always, after the seminars, he rolls with everybody, but he's also like another beast. I mean, he's huge. But I know some of the smaller competitors, they don't train with some people, and a lot of people, they say that, oh, he's not a true champion, he should train with us. Like, no, he shouldn't, because that's his job. He does that for a living. Like, why would he risk getting hurt? Because like, even if you're super technical, I mean, somebody, I think like 120 kilos, or like it might hurt you. Like even 50 kilos, if you throw 50 kilos on your knee, it's gonna break. Like so why would you?
Right. Yeah. My favorite is when I tell a spazzy person, I go, oh, I can't roll. And then they'll be like, okay. And then they turn around and they immediately see me rolling with somebody else who's like not spazzy. And they're like, you fucking liar. Well, and I think like there's a way, like there are bigger guys that I roll with because I know them and I trust them. But even with that, I mean, freak accidents can happen, but like, like I've rolled with Hodger Gracie and Robert Drysdale because I know they're not going to try to fucking murder me. And what I'll try to do, because I don't think that looking out for your health and longevity and safety makes you like a chicken shit. What I'll try to do is, if there's a spazzy person, I'll roll with them like once every like 6 months just to see how I would do in a street fight, like self-defense. And then they'll always come up to me the next day. And so I'll do what I got to do. I'll make my statement. And then the next day they're like, hey, you want to roll? And I'm like, no, I'll see you in fucking next year. Like I do that shit once and then I'm done. Like I make my point, just to see if I can do it. But it does, like it's hard being small, and especially with you. I mean, people want to challenge someone of your stature, but I also think there's a difference between someone who is big and someone who's a fucking asshole. And if someone is going to be that spazzy and go that hard with someone so much smaller than them, then like fuck them. That doesn't have to do with size. That has to do with you don't want to roll with an idiot.
Yes, exactly. And there's also like a lot of people, they come up to me, it's like, hey, it's such an honor. Can I train with you? I want to learn from you. And there's people that they want to beat me up. So they want to train with me. It's like, I want to see if I can beat you up. It's like, those are the people I'm definitely, I mean, they obviously never say that, but like I said, you can see it in their eye. Those are the people that I don't train with. They come up to me like, hey, you want to train? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know we're supposed to be talking about jiu-jitsu, but I want to take a hard left in the conversation here because you are one of the few many-time world champions who follows all of my memes. And God bless you. You're in the culture. You're in the meme culture. And there's a few people out there like you're in the meme culture. I know Adesanya's in the meme culture. There's these few champions that are just right in the trenches with the hilarity that we put out there every day. So I want to kind of dig into Claudia from not the jiu-jitsu side, but more into like, what do you enjoy for entertainment? Are you big into, say, theater, into anime, into video games? What keeps you going?
Well, I love animes. I watch them a lot of times. Like, most of the animes that I wanted to watch, I already did because I downloaded before Netflix. Like, I downloaded all the episodes and I watched the whole thing.
Nice.
Go into video games, but only two series that I play. And I love memes. I love, spending time on the internet, like funny stuff. I love dark humor, but I'm very careful about that because like once you're a person, of influence, a person that people look up to, I can't, just, post some stuff, even though like I think it's funny. I know a lot of people would be offended. So like I keep them to myself. But yeah, I definitely like, I love memes. Animes, video games, lots of movies on Netflix, lots of TV series.
What is the line with that? Because when you said you're a person of influence and you don't want to post stuff that upsets people, is that more because there's all this controversy now with like people saying, people look up to you, so you shouldn't post, a certain ways. Like, how seriously do you take that? Is it more because to me, I'm like, okay, I don't care if I like offend someone who is just looking to be offended, but what I don't want to do is like influence like a kid to do something shitty or to, you know what I mean? Like a kid who can't take a joke. Where do you kind of stand with that as like athletes, as role models? Like, should people watch what they say more on the internet and just be an athlete? Or is it kind of, hey, if you follow this person, you know what you're getting into?
The thing is, like, it's something I don't think like that people should be one way or another. A lot of athletes, they just speak their minds, and I think that there's good in that too. Like just speak, just speak everything you think, you see. Like, for example, Gordon Ryan. There's a lot of talk about him. A lot of people are like, oh, you shouldn't say this. You should be more humble. And I think, well, first of all, he's saying stuff and he's doing exactly what he says he's going to do. So there's a difference in, between just saying you're going to do something and not being able to do it, and then saying, but then going there and doing it. It's not something that I would do, like I can't be too, what's the word?
Like cocky?
Yeah, like that's something that I can't do, but because of who I am. But I don't judge him for being, because I think like he's truthful about himself, about who he is, and a lot of people admire him for that. Like, I'm truthful about who I am, but I sometimes, like, I'll never lie. I'll never say I am something that I'm not. But sometimes, I keep some opinions to myself, because I know, there's a lot of like, what's the word, polemic about those topics, and I prefer not to speak out about some
Sure.
stuff.
Well,
So
when it comes to that confidence that you were talking about, and Conor McGregor has it too, and some people will hate on him for that, because you are kind of more laid back than, let's say, Conor or Gordon. Up here, not publicly, but like in your brain, in your heart, what is the balance with you? Because you've accomplished so much. What is the balance between confidence and self-criticism? Like, how humble do you stay in your head? Like, when you get to your level, is there part of you where, even if you don't say it out loud, in your brain, you still have to be like, I'm the fucking best? Like, what is that balance for you?
honestly, like, I'm very, I don't have a lot of confidence. A lot of times I go to tournaments, terrified of what can happen. Sometimes before the fights, I keep telling myself, I can't do this. I know I can. But at the same time, knowing in my heart that something can happen and I might lose. So there's always like, I'm not that confident in myself. So even like the small confidence I have, I don't speak out about it. So like, I never, say stuff like, oh, I'm going to beat this person. I'm always like, oh, I'm going to do my best. I want to do my best and see, what comes out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're speaking my language.
So many competitors are so happy to hear that right now, because I bet you most of the white and blue belts out there are like, what am I missing? I'm always terrified. I remember when I started, I hated going to tournaments. I loved winning them. I hated doing them. I was shitting my pants on the side waiting to get in there. Once you heard your name get called, your heart starts racing and you don't know, like, am I going to be able to do this? I don't believe myself. But then I think it's so important to hear somebody who's a multi-time world champion to say, yeah, I still get
sorry,
that.
because he paused and I did.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, basically I was giving you props for being honest and being like, yeah, it's hard to have that confidence even in the moment. Because I think most people can relate to that.
Did she freeze?
She froze.
Does she just want you to keep complimenting her, and she's pretending to be frozen?
Yeah, it just froze for a little bit.
No, we got you. We were saying you're just pretending so that we have to keep repeating the compliment.
I didn't hear you. Say it again.
But yeah, like, I mean, Drew's right though. It is important, because I've interviewed, I mean, God, just this week, I interviewed one of the biggest comedians and actors. And then I interviewed, I think, probably the biggest MMA photographer, that guy Ryan Loco, on my podcast. And both of them were like, I constantly hate my work, doubt myself, think that I got hired by accident, that people are going to find out I'm a fraud. And I think that, if, like Drew was saying, white belts and blue belts and purple, whoever, if they just think that we're all supposed to feel like Conor McGregor, then they're going to fucking quit. So when they hear someone like you admit to that, yeah, I think it's just like, whew, thank God.
Yeah, a lot of people come up to me and like, how do you deal with it? How do you have the confidence? How do you deal with nerves before the fights? I'm like, I still don't know what to do. Like, I'm always terrified.
So what keeps you, I mean, this is a cliche sports question, but like, what keeps you going then? Like, if you're constantly terrified and you have enough fucking medals, you could just train and teach and stuff, like, something bigger has to drive.
I've always been, everything I did, I always like got out of control doing it. So for example, when I was, a teenager, I used to like, colored pens. So I would go to the shop to buy one and I bought 15. So I always did, like I always got out of control. So I guess it happened to lots of, things in my life. And I guess the same thing happened with competition. I just started signing up for everything. But the thing is, the second I get there, I'm terrified and I want to go home. The second it's over, I'm like, I want to do this again. So
yeah.
I don't really know.
That's like the most successful addict story I think I've ever heard. I don't know how to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would be the same way. It's like if I chose cocaine instead of jujitsu and comedy, I would be dead.
You'd be the best at it. Come on.
Yeah, or I would be the greatest comedian in the world. If it was in the 80s,
I
would
mean,
be
the greatest cokehead. That's all.
Oh, the greatest cokehead. I would be the best. I would have a podcast about how to find cocaine, what kind of cocaine's the best. I'd interview the best cocaine dealers. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just about, but that's really cool, Claudia, because that's like an example of taking a personality trait that could have been toxic and negative, which is that addiction brain, that addict brain, and harnessing it and turning it into something really wonderful and like a career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess like I mean, I know that I compete too much because obviously I can't stay in shape for all the tournaments, especially because traveling is expensive and I can't do that without teaching seminars. So between competition and doing seminars, I don't really have enough time to train. So obviously, you know, it can't be really bad. So I know I should probably, you know, have, you know, a schedule, like I'm going to do these tournaments, these and these, and then find, you know, the proper time to train. But I mean, yeah, I've been competing everywhere because of this, you know, crazy, you know, addiction. But
yeah, I love that you're like, I don't even like it and I can't stop signing up. Well, what do you, I kind of want to talk about that because we haven't mentioned it in a while, and anytime I get to slam the industry for not treating athletes right, I will. Do you think that's kind of bullshit that you are one of the most respected competitors in the world and that you still have to budget? Or, you know, I mean, I know you like teaching, but the fact that like you still have to do it to break even, like what can we do to make it that athletes, especially athletes of your caliber, are getting paid the way that athletes in other sports get paid?
Yes, unfortunately, this is still a thing. It's very hard for athletes, you know, being just athletes, especially women. I guess like this is still a pretty big thing to this day. You have lots of, you know, tournaments like Fight to Win and, you know, the Kasai, lots of those that, you know, are paying decently the athletes. But how many women do you see fighting those? Not that many. You see men, you know, making ridiculously amounts of money, and women not, you know, getting paid the same. And also same thing with sponsorships. You see, you know, lots of sponsorships paying, you know, almost nothing to most of the girls, and paying like a lot of money to men. So I don't know if there is something like what could we do to change that, but it is definitely, you know, a thing. Like it is hard for, you know, for athletes being just athletes.
Yeah.
Do you find that you have to go out to these promoters and pitch yourself, or do they come to you at all? Like you've got Polaris, you've got Kasai, you've got like all these ones we were listing off. Like they're out there. Do you have to court them, or are they coming to you?
Sometimes I did reach out to a lot of those for a participation. Some of them reach out to me. Yes, some of them reach out to me, like sometimes like because I don't live in the US, so sometimes they want to do it in a time that I'm not there, so like it's hard for me. But I've reached out a few of them, you know, like asking for, you know, a chance to fight. Most of the time, Fight to Win especially, Seth put me in 2 of his shows, but I've reached out to some other tournaments and I didn't really get, you know, a response or a chance to be in them.
Call them out. Do you think that, I mean, I remember, like, here's why this is so fucking insane to me. Because one, it's not 1920, and like
Right.
I thought that sexism, we're at least doing a little better with that. But
just a little bit.
We're a little better than 1920. The bar is very low. The bar is set at 1920. We're not burning women for being witches anymore, so that's
a big step.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're allowed to wear that tank top. You're not going to jail, so hooray. But do you think that, I mean, I've watched events where there was a phase when women were finally led into the UFC and Rousey was on the scene and some other fighters were coming. There was a period of like a year where every time there was a female fight on that card, it was the best fight. And I've seen EBIs where the best fight was between like two 15-year-old girls.
Yeah.
So if it has nothing to do with performance or even crowd reaction, the crowd screaming, what do you think it is? Is there a reason that women aren't getting the same opportunities, or is it just people are still sexist dickheads?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think like women are not given enough opportunity, and there's also, like, for example, I'm going to give you an example that one time I heard. So always at Worlds, so you know how it works. They have the guys, the quarterfinals and semifinals, and then the girls finals, and then the guys finals. So like one time, like this was happening, everybody was watching the guys quarters and semifinals, and then I heard some people saying, oh, the girls are going to start now, so I guess we can go to lunch and then come back after.
Oh no.
So some people treat like the girls fights like a break, and I don't know if maybe it's because girls are not given enough opportunity, that's why they're treated like this, because undeniably right now there's a lot more hype on male fights than girls fights, and I don't know if that hype is due to the fact that female are not given as much opportunity as the men.
That's a fucking, sometimes we always think it's the athlete's responsibility, but sometimes the industry, so like Dana White and the UFC or whatever, they have to lead the way and almost train the audience. So what I mean by that is I'm going to use last year's professional wrestling WrestleMania, where last year was the first WrestleMania that women ever headlined. And it was Ronda Rousey and this woman named Becky Lynch, who just became this superstar, like the female Stone Cold Steve Austin. And they headlined, and when they announced the headline, there were a bunch of sexist guys who were like, this is bullshit, blah, blah, blah. But they headlined, and then they had such a good fucking match, just like Ronda Rousey. She headlined, and she was so good that the people who complained, it didn't matter anymore. So I think that with your example, Claudia, when you said the females are always second to last, if one year the females headlined and were the final match, that's it would be the IBJJF making a statement being like, hey, audience, you don't go to the bathroom. You don't go get lunch. This is the most important match. It's almost like we have to train the audience and teach them that, like, you can still have headlining matches that are women.
Well, I got a better idea. Instead of doing either the females before or after, if you're that guy, you can walk away on either of those. You can be like, once the men are done, I'm gone. Or we can be like, wait for the women to do, and now we're coming back for the men. Why don't you just put them all together? They're all black belt world championship matches. Just put the black belts out there. It doesn't matter how many women or men are on any given mat. They're happening, and you can watch them all.
Right.
Yeah, so I think like obviously, like you said, those people that walk away on women's fight, they can always do that. It's like, oh, that's time to go to the bathroom because this is a female fight. But I guess like it's the media that goes so much on top of the men that it's like the men get more attention, so people want to see them. And I think if they gave the same attention to all the women, there would be a lot more people, expecting the female fights. And like, it's very, I mean, I know that there's less women competing than men, so it's going to take a little bit until it evens out.
That's not a good excuse, though, because how many women that are competing right now are amazing stars, like yourself included. You've got people like Michelle Nicolini, Kira Gracie in the past. You've got people like Tammy Musumeci. All these people, I could list down the names of all the divisions of these. All of these people are super fight caliber, amazing competitors with interesting games. Like, it really, I think the idea that they have to be separate in different ways is kind of silly. and should get the same, like you're saying, get the same type of hype.
Yes, exactly. So I think like the media could, go out a little more after women, like reach out to them, talk about their fights, talk about their lives, talk a little bit more about them. So, and I think like once they start doing that, people are going to be, more hyped about the female fights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the fights themselves, they speak for themselves as far as the
Yes,
jiu-jitsu is concerned. Like everybody's saying, like there's some of the most iconic fights of all time. Tammy Musumeci and Michelle Nicolini with that arm break. You remember from the World's Finals a few years ago? Like that's still in my mind, remembering that fight. Yeah.
Drew still has nightmares about that
horrifying,
fight.
but just like amazing, iconic moments that really need to be solidified in the jiu-jitsu community's brains. Like Hodger and Jacare, him breaking the arm. That's a moment.
Yes, exactly. I think there should be more, hype about the, the female fights. Like you said, the fights, they speak for themselves. You have so many iconic fights. Also, like when Mackenzie fought Gabby Garcia.
Yeah.
So
It's
good.
like a moment for the whole jiu-jitsu world, and people are like, oh my God, look at this fight. This is amazing. A lot of the female fights, so much happens. Like it's so amazing. I think people should pay more attention to that.
And then, by the way, when people go, well, there aren't as many female competitors, it's like, right, asshole, show more female fights, then more females want to train, then more become black belts. Now we have these generations. And you know what's funny? Every school that I've gone to, the star teenager or kid is always a girl, and it's just this this gritty ass girl. I still remember when I coached at Henzo's in LA, there was this girl named Mia, and she just terrified everybody. And it's like the women who stick with it will become fucking superstars, but we just have to get it out to more people. And even if you don't care about competition, for all the people who say jiu-jitsu saves my life, jiu-jitsu saved my life, but they're going to hold down an entire gender. It's like, don't you want jiu-jitsu for your fucking daughters, for your wife, for, whoever? It's like, we should all be rooting for everybody to succeed and to make money.
I always say that every female should know jiu-jitsu, not only for self-defense, but also for self-defense, because I think jiu-jitsu is the best martial art for self-defense.
Yeah.
But it's such a great sport, because working out is so boring.
I think we all feel that with the pandemic right now.
Oh, it's the worst.
A lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to lose weight, so I'm gonna try this boxing class and like this yoga class. And I'm not saying yoga or boxing is bad. I'm just saying a lot of people, they exercise because they have to.
We'll say CrossFit is bad. That'll be the compromise.
Yeah, a lot of people, they just hate what they're doing, but they do it because they have to. And jiu-jitsu is just so amazing because you love what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know so many people, myself included, that just lost a bunch of weight and got a much better body by doing jiu-jitsu. So it's something that you do, you exercise and you have fun while you're doing it. And also because of the self-defense part, like I said, I think is the best martial art for self-defense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, you're fucking awesome. I'm so glad you did this. You are welcome. When Drew and I become millionaires and have our own event, we will have you headline the event. We'll have you fight one of the sexist guys who leaves to go to the bathroom. That'll be a test. We'll be like, there's a female fight. And then when they get up, suddenly the doors will close and the light will go on him. And it'll be like, it's you, motherfucker. And then, we'll figure it out. I haven't worked it out yet, but I'll start writing it down.
Sounds amazing.
Anything you want to promote besides the Instagram? I don't think I'm fucking following you on Instagram.
Dude, everybody's following. She's got more followers than I do, goddammit.
Well, this makes me look cool.
Yes, please follow me, because my dad gets worried when I'm not getting more followers. That's being very serious. He talks to me. He has serious conversations with me as to why my followers are not going up.
Amazing.
Well, look, you tell your dad that I just followed you. And I just, because you have so many followers, Claudia, I wanted to look really cool and kind of hold back a little bit. But now that I have followed you, big deal. Congratulations. Your dad will be happy, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God.
Well, thank you again for doing this. And honestly, reach out to either of us if you ever need anything or want us to promote anything for you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
All right, cool. Talk to you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Bye. You guys, that was so good. She was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing. I knew she was going to be good because I've seen her do Instagram stuff before, and I'm like, she's kind of meant for the camera, and she's very, very smart and funny. What more do you want from a guest?
Yeah, she's really I was so scared when you said a G word. I thought after all of that talk about sexism, you were like, what more do you want from a gal? And I was like, you fucking no. What is happening?
I would use the word hussy, by the way, or dame. Dame
one
in
of them,
the 1920s, right?
One of them little Instagram vixens. It's like, yikes. So we usually segue into our ads. By the way, I'm so glad we got so many emails from you guys being like, you guys are the only ads we listen to.
Yeah,
because we will always make them funny / horrifying is our goal. And so we usually this will get funny and horrifying, but we usually enter in like it's still part of conversation. But I just want people to know what I'm about to say is not a joke. Like I find it hilarious, but it actually happened. Where okay, so like we said before, we lost one of our sponsors due to the economy. We very purposefully have 2 sponsors because we wanted to pick sponsors we legitimately are passionate about, which are SUPERARE. And I still, guys, go to superareshop.com.
yeah.
I mean, if you want to use the promo code Rear Naked as like a little joke, I don't know if it'll work. But like, go support them. Like they had our back, and they had legitimately. I can say this is how you guys know we're honest about Origin too. Like I can say now, they still have the dopest fight shirts. Like 100% they do, and I still wear their shirts all the time. Like I wasn't. The only reason I'm not wearing one of their shirts now is because I've been supposed to go running all day, and I haven't gone running. I have little fucking shorts on.
Yeah. So that's the get sweaty shirt. You wouldn't want Muhammad Ali getting sweaty.
100% it is. And so you know what we say about Origin and what we said about SUPERARE was all fucking true. And the reason, by the way, when you guys sponsor your school, the reason those episodes will be true, even if Drew and I don't know about your school, is we're going to have you on to tell us stories. I just hate bullshit advertising. Like, yeah, we need the fucking money, but we're still going to pick companies we stand behind. So we only had 2, which means we lost 1. We lost half of our fucking income. So, but we feel
on top of the entire gym income.
On top of the entire gym and my shows. I had stand-up shows in April.
I don't want to make it sound like it's the entire. I do have some students who decided, like a lot of gyms are, that they're going to keep supporting during the downtime. So not to shit on them, but I'm just saying, like, it's not fun. It's not fun for anybody. And look, this is part of why we lost the sponsorship. It wasn't to do with the podcast. They still love us. It wasn't to do with our interaction with them. We still love them. But like, it is hard on everybody right now. And for a company that's 2 of their major incomes are brick and mortar locations that are quarantined down right now, that hurts a lot. Oh, he actually called to say, if we didn't love you guys and the podcast so much, we would have just said, sorry, we can't do it. But they were trying to figure out any way to make it work, which is why go support them. Like, I'll go buy shit from them fucking today. For sure. So we lose half the income. But like we said in the beginning, we're fucking motivated. Welder Drew comes out. Fucking stand-up Jamie, who lived in his fucking car, comes out. Like, we are ready to go. And I feel nothing but confident. The last couple of days, mental health wise, killing it. Beautiful. It's time to get paid from our other sponsor. And I shoot over an email, and it's someone I haven't talked to at the company. And he goes, can you give me a phone call? And that's exactly what you want to hear. And I was just like, the day after losing our other sponsor, literally the next day, I was just like, time to walk into the ocean. Like, I didn't know. And I, for the first time in such a long time, had like a legit
like I tried to nap, but like my eyes were wide open. And this call was in like 15 minutes. And I literally just like lie on the couch and I'm like, we can nap for like 2 minutes. Let's just like, and by the way, I used to do that when I would like if a girlfriend got mad at me or something, I would take what I termed panic naps, where I would just like be asleep. That was like how I dealt. I heard a comedian, I forget if it was Marin, but they're like little mini suicides, essentially.
Yeah,
like,
this universe is whack. I'm gonna try a new one.
Let's see how Dream Jamie's doing. Up, still in trouble. Okay, great. Let's wake up. And so, I text Drew, and you know, part of what has helped us become so successful with this show is that fucking confidence that we are going to be the best in the world. So what did we do? We're the best in the world. We're going to get sponsors before we even launch. So what did we do? And so I'm like, I can't have this fucking attitude of like, we're going to lose the sponsor. Like I have to be ready. I have to hype myself. So then I had coffee and now I'm jittery. So I'm like, fuck. Long story short, he goes, all right, so I really wasn't around. Tell me, you know, what your guys' deal is. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I give the whole spiel. And I'm talking about how we speak from the heart. And I'm essentially just what he needed to know was not any of that, I don't think. What he needed to know was like how we do invoices.
Yeah,
and like,
what Jamie didn't realize is he was talking to an actual pragmatist that didn't make decisions and just wanted to give us money.
Yes. And so at the very end, I was like, all right, well, you guys hang in there. And he's like, oh, we're just going. And I'm like, of course you are, because it's fucking Jocko's company.
Yeah.
Where like, and he go, and you know, if you guys haven't seen, Drew posted about it, I posted about it too. They're making masks right now for Corona. So it's not like they're like
not just like these ones you see, these construction masks that are like dust masks that you pinch over your nose and you look like a retard. These things make you look like fucking Sub-Zero. It's the coolest looking thing.
They're Mortal Kombat masks.
They are.
And so I was like, so it's not like they're like, oh, we're gonna profit off this. Not only are they fucking fine and not phased at all, and the only person panicking was me, but they are using this opportunity to give back, which is the fucking ethos of the company, which is why they help vets, which is why the jobs are made in America. No offense, Claudia. I'm sure they love Brazil. But this is what they do. And it was so funny because I went from so panicked to like, of course Jocko's company is fine. Because that's their attitude with everything. Like, good.
Sure. Good. That's right. GOOD, capital N period, good. You know why they sent you the money guy, though?
Why?
Because...
You're about to make a joke about me being Jewish?
I missed that one. I wish I didn't.
This, by the way, these are our ads if you're new to the show.
Welcome to the ads.
Welcome to the ads. This is it. We're in it.
The reason why they sent you the guy that just had the checkbook is because the people that are out there in Jocko land, they don't have terrorists to fight right now. They're stuck at home. The terrorists are stuck in their cave. Everybody is stuck, quarantined right now. And so the fight is on pause and they're getting jittery. And you know what they did? They sent me this thing called Jocko Cold War, which is a supplement.
So
and they're like, we ran out of war. We need a new war. Okay, we're gonna go microbiotic on this.
War on viruses.
War on virus. I'm sorry about all you pathogens out there. You might get caught in the crossfire, but they are after this thing.
Drew, you bring up a solid point. Is there like a Gordon Ryan terrorist who's like, I don't
think they're that dumb.
Who's like, oh, Jesus. I was going to go for a subtle joke. My joke, what do you think there's a Gordon Ryan terrorist that's like, I'm going out, and like leaves the cave, and then all the other terrorists are like, does he not have a grandmother? Like, does he not care about social distancing? Anyway, that was my thought. Here's what we're trying to say, guys. This podcast, if I learned anything from Jocko and how they are standing strong against Corona, and these are companies we need in times like this, and that sounds like fake or like I'm gonna, but it's 100% true. Where it's like they're staying strong, they're fucking keeping people employed, they're giving back, they're making masks. Like it's so fucking cool. But quite antithetically, I'm still a panicky mess, and they are also what is keeping this show alive right now.
Yeah.
So not only do you get to support an awesome fucking company, not only can you get stuff like them pills Drew just held up to the Cold War pills. They have the best fucking gis made in America. They have a tire. They have Jocko tea. You know, it's fucking.
Yeah, they got boots, they got jeans, but you should go check out their masks right now because swear to God, they are so cool and they're like $12. So
Yeah.
like I had a friend that just grabbed 2. I was like, you grabbed 2? It's like, yeah, they're $12. Why wouldn't I?
I actually should get some. So originmain.com and use promo code Rear Naked because one, that's how we keep Rear Naked Radio alive and thriving and growing, which guys, you have no idea the guests we have reached out to.
Yes. When Jamie goes crazy, crazy. He brought out like the black book that you would cement into the wall and break in case of emergency.
Yeah. It's pretty fucking cool. Speaking of which, next week we got Greg Jackson. Why not?
That's true. He's like one of the superest coaches in MMA history. Like, who has had more success, had more championship students than Greg Jackson?
No, I mean, Carlos Condit was literally telling us tales of Greg. And then I was like, oh, I should get Greg. And by the way, that's for you guys. Greg Jackson is not on social media because he is a MMA monk.
That's a hard get.
Yeah, that's not to get like promo stuff. That's not, we want him to tweet to his followers. Like we are only getting people that are going to bring you guys, that are going to make your fucking jiu-jitsu better, your mental health stronger. Like that's what we fucking do. So go to originmain.com, use promo code Rear Naked, one word. You'll get 10% off and you're telling them that them supporting the show is a good fucking idea.
Sweet. So you said you had another guest that you were bringing up. I'm kind of confused because I thought we just had Claudia. I must have missed. Did I miss a DM? Where did
look there's lots of questions you could be asking yourself right now. Why didn't you tell me there was another guest? Why I didn't think we had the technology for a guest to just randomly call in.
This is another thing I hadn't considered.
And I would also recommend it's just kind of a sound thing. It's a little too technical to get into it, but I would recommend just primarily focusing on the audio portion of this. But look, we talked a lot. That's neither here nor there. We talked a lot about community, and I've been getting hammered with DMs from supposedly our #1 fan.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and so like since we're gonna start doing shows for like gyms and like bring on kind of random people, I thought this would be a good opportunity for me and you to practice, like hey, interviewing somebody who maybe isn't known.
That's a great idea. We
Thank you so much.
Get him on. How do we get him on?
Well, I just want to say really quick, and I don't know two things just before we get him on, and I'll dial it in. It's fine. Two things. Number one. I have to leave and run an errand.
Oh, we can only do like 2 people at a time for this, or?
No, I just specifically have an errand that I have to run within this.
It's kind of bad timing, Jamie.
It's
Can it not wait.
I'm just I have to help an old person. So if you want me to be like a bad person, I guess I can. So I'm gonna run an errand. And then the second thing, here's the weird thing. He says he's our biggest fan. He has only been DMing me pretty aggressively since we announced we were going to have Claudia on the show.
So he's pretty excited about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's excited about that, but he didn't seem to know much about the rest of our show for someone who claims to be our #1 fan. I don't know, man. You got this. I believe in you. I'll be right back, and let's just dial in.
All right, here we go. Okay.
Beep, boop, beep, beep. Beep, boop. Beep. Beep, 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 boop. Am I on there? Hello?
Yeah, this is Rear Naked Radio. Hi, who am I talking to? I heard this is our biggest fan. How's it going, buddy?
This is Frank, first-time caller, new listener as well.
New listener? Okay, so, man, you must really love the show. If you're our biggest fan, you're a new listener.
Well, I may have told some falsities to the Jewish kid.
Jamie?
I just no, it was a boy. You just said a lady name, which
Jamie's a guy. He's
gross.
A guy.
Don't get it. Look, I don't know about this 2020 PC. You can be whatever you want, but not for me. So listen, I said I was your biggest fan. New to the show. I love MMA so much. I own 28 tap out shirts, all the same color. And I heard that you were gonna have a lady on a fighting show, and I don't. What?
Yeah, no, we already interviewed her. She was amazing. She talked about women in jiu-jitsu and like trying to get more fights, trying to get more coverage for women.
No, that first of all, I didn't hear the interview. I decided that's when I was going to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom during the interview, didn't hear any of it. Look, MMA podcasts are supposed to be about jerky, about beer, about maybe you can have a lady on if you're saying things like, hey, you know what I like to do to that lady? Have sex with her. Or, hey, there's a lady. I have a funny joke about something about a kitchen. Or I'll put it together. You're the comedian. You put that joke together.
I'm a little bit confused here because I thought you were like our biggest fan. It seems like this is a jiu-jitsu comedy podcast. It's not even an MMA podcast.
I am. Yuck! The ground MMA.
Yeah. No.
Well, now I have two complaints. I have number one, that you had a lady on your fighting podcast. Number two, that you decide to dedicate the majority of your time to the ladiest section of fighting on the ground. Being on the ground is only for lovemaking to my wife with no eye contact or noises.
I feel like you've just had a bad experience with jiu-jitsu. Have you tried it yet? Have you gone like down to a gym? I know they're not open right now, but there's been lots of opportunity to go train.
I oftentimes will pace outside of my local jiu-jitsu gym and peer into the window. And when somebody comes to the door and asks if I need assistance, I scurry to my car as fast as I can and I drive away shaking. Why do you ask?
Well, see, the problem is that's not jiu-jitsu. Like the actual
to
stuff.
You again. I don't know this 2020. Why are look where I come from? Ladies' jobs are to say, "Hey, stop taking pictures of me. I'm gonna call the police."
Wait, hold up a second. Are you the one who is outside our gym taking pictures during the women's class?
Oh, you know what? I got to.
No. Hold up.
I have some
What number is this?
I have some scurrying to do. Keep up the good work. Never tap. That
son of a bitch.
Hey,
Jamie. Where?
Yeah.
Holy fuck! Did
you talk to our number one fan?
I don't think I did. I talked to someone.
What did he like the most about me? I guess would be my main question.
Well, definitely not your name. Certainly not your heritage.
Oh, wait, fuck. I didn't disconnect. I'm so sorry, you guys. Hold on one second. Beep, boop, beep, boop. Well, it sounded sadder.
That's such a sad disconnect.
Technology runs on emotions.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, Bill Gates. He hacked into that one and made it sad when you hang up, so it makes you want to call back later.
So look, I don't know how the interview went, but what I do know is we brought you two guests, so you're fucking welcome. Oh, did it take all of your willpower to not make I came this close, but I don't know Claudia well enough. I made some jokes. I was proud of both, but when she was like, I did a interview on Flow Grappling, I almost said, and who's that? Or my other joke in my head that I almost said when she ended, but then it would have been too late, is I was going to go, how did you afford that?
I was going to say, I didn't know they had a podcast. I thought they just had a bill.
Well, look, the show is still new enough that Drew and I will slowly become brave.
Correct. We'll burn these bridges one plank at a time.
One plank at a time. Guys, thank you for supporting the show. And also we've had our Instagram open for like not even a half a day. And like we're already getting so many wonderful messages from you guys. And it just really, I mean, hold on. Do I have them here?
Yeah, Helen's been throwing them over in our group chat. So like we're on top of this. If you're going to that page and you're leaving comments, we're seeing them. We're going to start replying to them. Definitely DM if you got any ideas. If you need some pathogen streetwear, we're going to have to get something figured out for you guys.
Yeah. By the way, can we call it pathogen streetwear? Because that's hilarious.
Actually, that sounds badass.
Pathogen streetwear. And also, when I was thinking about it, because I was updating Helen on the podcast, and I was like, Rear Naked Radio and the Pathogens, like that has to be. There's so many merch possibilities there. So many. I don't know why I keep picturing that the band from that movie, That Thing You Do, but they're all little viruses playing instruments. Like I'm picturing that generation.
I was gonna say we could start by branding our own ventilators, but I think it's just not the time for that. It's not.
It's still a little too soon. It's a little too soon for that. Right now, it's just Jesus Christ. So guys, as you do, as official Rear Naked Radio Pathogens, go infiltrate originmain.com, use promo code Rear Naked, and spread the fucking virus of Rear Naked Radio on the internet. We're going to start posting clips of the show that you'll be able to share to your stories. Always, you can tag me, Drew, tag Rear Naked Radio. We'll share it. Drew will share it to the fucking biggest jiu-jitsu meme page on the planet.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk to Instagram to see if I can get just for the Rear Naked Radio Instagram page, the share button to change to a infect button.
Oh, they probably will also say too soon, but I like where you're
I think the timing's perfect. Look, for comedy, you gotta hit the ventilator's hot. I don't know.
Nice. You know what? Let me just get Instagram on the phone real quick.
Beep, boop,
yep. Beep, beep, beep. Trying to plug in my fucking computer so it doesn't die. Hold on.
Yeah, we're getting a real close up of your arm hair and maybe Gonzo's eye.
Yeah, no big deal. I'm a man. So cool. All right, you guys are the best. You're incredible. Follow the website or the Instagram, and the show's just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger. You can't hold us down, motherfuckers.
Can I give now that we have an official followers name, I'm going to give our first assignment to the Pathogens. I know that everybody right now who isn't training is probably in one or many group chats with the people who are in your gym. I know I've got several of them going. So your mission before next Monday's podcast is to infect one or two of those message groups with a link to the podcast.
Infect. Can we end every show with that? Infect. All right, you didn't jump on that one with me. That's fine.
I don't know if that one's gonna fly.
And also some of my videos blew up, as they have been doing. There's an official guard pulling for the street video that people love. Our friend Eli Knight is in that as well. And I feel like I did another jiu-jitsu one that got big. Oh yeah, I pretended Gordon Ryan died of the coronavirus.
Oh my god, that one was I had more people in the comment section going, is this real? You did so good.
That was before April Fool's, because I'm not a fucking hack.
And
because
you're a fucking hipster.
Because I'm a fucking hipster. My favorite line, if I may quote myself, because I again did this in one take at like 7 a.m. after telling Drew I'm not going to do a Gordon Ryan video. Just sent him a like unedited 6-minute video. We got it down to like 2 or 3. But it was how I wanted I hope his tombstone reads, and I sold it pretty well. He died how he lived, making fun of the homeless.
And no, my favorite line of yours was a little later when you said, I hope that there's some mats up in heaven, and I hope there's no homeless people up there. He'd be so angry.
He would be horrified. It's so dumb.
Oh god.
I will say, Eli, my favorite line in my videos recently was actually from Eli. It was an Eli ad lib, where the second beat of that, where he sees me again after he has beaten me up and taken my money, where he goes, "Oh, you learn a new one?"
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
It was so funny. Oh, don't worry, you still will not be able to predict the third beat of that sketch, which gets cartoonishly dark.
It does. Perfectly dark.
Yeah, guys, can you also support our sponsor and find us more sponsors so that Drew and I can fly to each other to make more videos and jiu-jitsu sketches? Because that would be the dream. All right. We got to go, you guys. Fly, little pathogens, fly. We love you very much. We see you next Monday with Greg Jackson.
Peace out, guys. See you then.